The Pioneers are back, and there's more transfer news. 2 in, 1 out. Now, the 1 out is Ryan Piros, former goalie, came in from Dubuque, played half the season, helped the team get to the national championship. He is on his way to Adrian. Utica will see Adrian in the first regular season games that are not exhibitions. They will see Piros and the Bulldogs for the home opener and the first 2 home games in the odd. Adrian's going to be tough. That series is going to be tough. Depending on how both rosters come out, then I can probably say a little more of how is Utica going to look? Is it going to be another year where we're going best case is 1-1 or 2-0? And likely scenario is 1-1, take 1, lose 1 in overtime. We don't know enough about. I wouldn't say we know enough about Utica in terms of players coming in, losing so much of your top 6, and losing key defensive pieces, and all of your captains. I'm not saying there's no more leader voices in there, but I'm saying the captaincy hit will have a small effect, if anything. Because you saw that when that big senior class left a couple years ago with guys like Zapata. It just looked very disorganized for a couple games. I don't think you're going to have nearly that bad of disorganization or anything, or not really a look of a leader. I think you're still going to have a leader. Plus, you still have Coach Heenan here, who has been coaching and knows a lot more than I probably ever will just by watching the game and knowing who's a leader and who's not. And we'll see how that kind of comes out. We'll see how this roster progresses and finds its leaders and gets those things. But we will see Piros again. And I wish him nothing but luck. Normally, I'm very guys transfer out. And if they go to another contender, I'm like, I like you, but I'm not going to say I like you. He's one that I will say I liked him as a player here. He was a great player. Came in, was a diamond in the rough. Faced slight scrutiny from me. Just of occasionally I'd note that he made some mistakes early on. But he progressed, he took steps forward, and he helped the team get to that national championship, the first of its history. So, props are definitely due. He's a very good goaltender, and he's only a sophomore. And I think Utica is going to see him a lot in the next couple of years. Coming in, you have Davis Goukler out of University of Alaska-Anchorage, a senior defenseman, sorry for mispronouncing these, and Hunter Longhi, a forward junior out of American Intl College. Goukler would play over 50 games, over 60 games at the D1 level for Alaska-Anchorage. And he would score not a ton of points. He would only score 9. But he would have a positive plus-minus coming out of those 60 games, especially during his sophomore year where he put up a 13 plus-minus. And his penalty minutes are low. And while he may not blow you out of the water nearly at all on the score sheet, I think the Pioneers have enough where you don't need guys that come out as a defenseman and blow you away on the score sheet because, you already have those offensive guys that would get on the score sheet and are good at making those offensive plays. Sometimes you need a couple guys that they don't pop out on the score sheet, but on tape you can tell they're good defensive players. And I'm not saying that Goukler necessarily is one at the moment just because I haven't watched enough tape on him. I haven't really watched anything on him. I did a little surface level touch on both these guys. I haven't seen much. But judging on, there's never always a fully offensive loaded team Coach Heenan knows what he's doing. He knows the kind of players he wants. And there's always a couple defensive guys in the D-corps and there's always a couple offensive guys. It's always very well spread. And guys that can play multiple roles. And I think that this could possibly be another one of those things where, he may not pop off the score sheet at all. But you don't need a guy that pops off the score sheet. You just need a guy to come in, play the right game, fit the system, and go home at the end of the day. I mean, his 4 goals aren't anything to be... They're not huge by any means, but he played at the D1 level. He seems to be good at the D1 speed of, coming off the ice even or with a point or something. And, every once in a while you need to get that defensive guy. And Utica needs a defensive guy right now. You have a lot of guys that can play offense or could play both ways. It could help to have 1 or 2 defensive guys that you're just there to just knock somebody over. I mean, Utica's had a history of those. I mean, Rakowski's one of them. Just a guy who went out there to hit is literally what he did. One of my favorite Pioneers. Just went out there to hit people. And pretty much every guy that's returning to the Pioneers can do good on the offensive side. So you don't need a guy that is that offensive defenseman, because I'd say Peric is one of them, and I'd also say that Bax can be one of those if you develop him that way. And I mean, Brighton is nothing to slouch at, because he can be very good at getting a puck on net for it to be there for if you have a goalie that can't really get rebounds out. He's good at just throwing a puck on net and it being there for somebody. And Utica's very good at having a smart defensive group. Their defense, from the hockey I've watched over the last few years, is always smart. They're all smart. They know how to run the system. And when other teams get caught up in Utica's system, when Utica can run their system and get set up, there's almost nobody that can stop it. So, to me, this is another one, like the Schultz-Dice Schultz-Dice transfer last year. It may not jump off at you on the page, but who knows what you're really getting till you see him on the ice. He could be the best defenseman on the team. He could be... I don't know what he could be. We got to wait and see. I mean, Schultz-Dice came in, was arguably, it looked like one of the smartest guys on the team in terms of game IQ, because he was very good at putting himself in the right spot at the right time, and Utica needed that, and they paired him well with Brighton. He does come in a little small. He's 6'1". He's in between a Brighton and a Peric, who I think Brighton's 6'4" and Peric's 5'10", roughly. So he's very in between in the size of the Utica grouping, but I think they need one of those. They need another average-sized D-man in terms of their unit, just to go out there and play good hockey, and I think he'll do good things coming from a D1 level. Now, alongside him, you have Hunter Longhi, forward, listed as a left wing by Elite Prospects, but in this system, you can probably move him anywhere. Comes in as a junior, 23 years old, 5'8", 174, shoots left. He only played 21 games at an American International over his 2 seasons, with 7 points, 3 of those goals, 4 penalty minutes, and a 0 plus-minus, a 1 and a -1 in 23-24 and 24-25. But I haven't necessarily looked into his tape, but judging by his size and everything, he reminds me... The only guy that I can find that size-wise he can match up with is a Malera. Everybody else is either... They weigh the same as him at 5'8", because he's 5'8", 174 listed as Elite Prospects, but those weights can... they're always, fluctuating. You never truly know. Same with the height. Every once in a while, they may give a guy an inch or something, and you're like, I don't truly know. Piros on ice seemed very short. I don't doubt that he's 5'8", but every once in a while, teams will be like, I'll give you the inch. And it's funny. I just find that hilarious. That's all sports. That's not just hockey. That's not just college. That's everywhere, anywhere. You may be a little short, or no matter what, they'll be like 3/4 of an inch. Well, it'll give you the extra inch. Why not? But size-wise, his weight, most of the guys on the team that are that weight are a little taller, or that are his height are lighter, like a Gut, who's about that. I think Gut's 5'10", and he weighs around the same. Either that or Gut's 5'9", 5'8" and weighs slightly less. I mean, there's a couple guys that are that height, but weigh about 150, 160. So they're roughly the same, but the guy who's pretty much right up there in terms of measurements with him is Malera. And, I mean, you saw the guy, again, Coach Heenan knows the system. He knows the guys he wants. He's been very good at pulling players that are good in his systems. And with the CHL players coming in, you get more of a push down of people. The transfer portal's seen a lot this year. I think this could be another guy that you give him time. He's coming down to that D3 level. He may find his ground and become a staple. Utica has lost enough in its top six that, I mean, you have enough to fill in to replace, and you can still keep relatively the same lines. I mean, I don't think the third line really wasn't touched. I don't think, because I think if you could still keep ADR, Lundberg, Daddario, and I wouldn't split up Lundberg and Daddario, at least not to start the year. Some of those lines still kind of have their identity. First line lost too, depending on which one it is. If you think of it more last season as Vitale, Morse, and Brolt, they only lost one. If you think of it more as the late season combo, you lose two. Of Malera, Brolt, Morse. So, the forwards, I mean, a lot of them found their footing. A lot of the bottom six kind of found their footing at the end of the year. There's a lot of versatility, a lot that you can do, because you have a lot of different sizes of guys. You have a lot of different play styles. So I think there's a chance he can fit here. And hopefully both these guys can find their mark. Obviously, we hope every Pioneer finds the mark. And good luck to these guys coming in. Good luck to Piros going out. And go Pioneers.